quarters in the White House, which are frankly kind of dumpy. And they said, maybe what we can do is we can spruce this place up and make it look a lot better. What do you figure the odds are of that happening right now?
Oh, no, that's not happening.
That's what I thought.
But we're good. We're good staying where we are at the moment.
Well, they haven't thrown you out of the building yet, which is one of the things that's been talked about. And yesterday,
Right.
as I understand it, the press corps has, and there has to be an adversarial relationship here.
Yeah,
I mean, that's just the
certainly.
rules of the game. I mean,
Yeah.
it's your job to ask the tough questions, and it's the administration's representatives to basically dodge or do whatever. But this one, I don't think I've ever seen an experience, anything like this that you guys are going through right now.
Yeah, I mean, certainly there's tension always between a White House and the White House press, or a campaign staff and the campaign press. That's nothing new. The staff wants to push a message, control a message. Reporters are pushing for more access, more question opportunities. So that's inevitable. But it certainly seems to be reaching a new level with this administration, because they're scaling back opportunities to ask questions. And that's problematic from our end of things. And, they'll defend themselves and say, well, we do things in other ways. The briefing is just one way of taking questions. We're always available, but they're not always available. And I think a big concern is, an inconsistency among staff, who you're talking to. And the briefing is a good chance for the White House to get their message out. That's kind of one thing that we push too, of this is in your interest to have the press secretary on camera, because then those words can't be filtered. Just make the statement.
Isn't one of their biggest problems, though, that this is a White House, that the president says one thing, the press secretary says another, somebody else leaks something, and all the messages are different. It used to be that, I'm trying to remember the woman's name. She was involved in writing speeches. I think it was for Bill Clinton. And she said, when we had a message, it ran through like 11 different departments to make sure we were on point. That's not the case with this administration, which I think personally hurts them more than anything else.
Yeah, and I agree. And I think when you talk to outside strategists here in Washington who've been through White Houses, Democrats and Republicans who've worked on the Hill, they'll say, like, there's a lot that goes into formulating a strategy. I mean, here's an example for you. Last Friday, the president's going down to Miami to make this announcement about his Cuba policy. I'm down there in Miami. Large group of reporters traveled down there for it. It's a big deal. I mean, he's been teeing this up since the campaign. It's a big announcement, and one that was going to be very well received down in some parts of Miami, but big implications. And the president that morning, right before 7 a.m., starts tweeting about Russia. And so that becomes the headline. And instead of talking about Cuba, I'm now talking all morning about Russia, because that's what people are interested in, because that's what the president has put out there. So all the communication strategy in the world, you could have the greatest minds in the history of political communications. It doesn't matter if the president wants to talk about something else.
What do you figure the over-under is this morning on Mr. Spicer still being in his position, say, a month from now?
If you had asked us a month ago, we would have said, well, they're probably getting close to the shakeup. And as he said yesterday, I'm right here doing, kind of his best Mark Twain impression. And the rumors of his death were greatly exaggerated. Now, every briefing, certainly there's buzz that it would be his last briefing. And he didn't deny reports yesterday that the White House is looking for a replacement or adding on new staff, because right now he's essentially running the communications office and doing these briefings, which you could say is it's a lot on his plate. But I think the interesting thing is, as they try to fill out this communications staff, everybody I talked to outside, experienced Republicans, people who worked in the Bush White House or, up on Capitol Hill, people don't want to take these jobs. So they're having a hard time bringing
who in their right mind
in.
would want to take a job where you're going to get hammered every day on all different sides? I mean, it's like I beat my head against a concrete wall only because when I stop, it feels so good. That kind of thing.
And anybody who's ever been in political communications knows how you're going to deal with the press. That's not the biggest problem with some of these jobs. You're going to get tough questions. You're going to get, into sparring matches with the White House press corps. It's can you do your job effectively if the boss is undercutting the message or shifting the message? That's where I think people are getting hesitant to jump in, because you're not sure you can actually have a say over where things go.
How's the composition of the press corps now? I mean, traditionally, I think it's 7 seats across and 7 rows deep or something like that. And this administration has kind of changed the rules. It used to be to get a White House press correspondent's pass, you had to first have a pass from Congress, and then you had to apply for the one for the White House.
Yeah,
and it
no,
was
it's
tough to
not
get.
like that. No, you just have to get a White House pass. There's 49 seats, and you have to get cleared in or get a hard pass. But I'm sorry, I got to finish it there because I got to get on to the next station.
I'm very sorry, but thank you very much for joining us. It's good talking to you
Thanks.
again.
Have a great day.
You too. Karen Travers, ABC News correspondent, joining us from the White House this morning. And boy, there are their facilities